William B. Coulter, candidate for an honorary degree, will be presented by Trustee Dr. Jeanette Grasselli.
Nationally recognized leader in state administration of higher education, you have worked with the Board of Regents since its creation in 1963. Throughout your service with the Regents, you have been a force for rational management and public accountability, and an active advocate for higher education with general public and state officials. Your oversight of major initiatives helped establish the agenda for education in Ohio, including the Selective Excellence Programs, the Ohio Supercomputer Center, Ohio's Library Access System, economic development partnerships involving universities, the state, and private industry, and the Access and Achievement Initiative. Imbued with a sense of fairness and integrity, you have served the people of Ohio faithfully and have shown extraordinary patience and sensitivity in attempting to develop consensus within the higher education community, and by this fairness, integrity, and patience, have earned the respect of all who have worked with you.
William B. Coulter, in recognition of your achievements and by virtue of the authority of the Board of Trustees, Ohio University confers upon you the honorary degree Doctor of Humane Letters with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. With us today also is Virginia Coulter, Bill's wife, and his daughter, Barbara Edwards, seated up there. Please stand. He'll get a chance to reply since Bill Coulter is our commencement speaker. He has recently retired as Chancellor of the Ohio Board of Regents after a distinguished career as a public servant. He provided very strong leadership for all of higher education. Those who value university education in the state of Ohio owe a great debt to Bill Coulter for his leadership. A graduate of Transylvania University in Kentucky, he began his long distinguished career in public service in Kentucky state government. He moved across the river to Ohio in 1957. He began his 20-year tenure at the Ohio Board of Regents in 1963 as program officer, became Vice Chancellor for Administration in 1971, Deputy Chancellor in 1979, and was named Chancellor in 1984. He retired at the end of 1989. During his career, he played a major role in the preparation and the implementation of statewide educational plans which established a political and educational agenda for the state of Ohio. He was directly responsible for and oversaw the development of statewide operating and fiscal plant budgets, funds amounting in the current biennium to more than $3 billion. Under his leadership, as the citation noted, new strategies were developed to enhance the quality, indeed the excellence, of education in the state of Ohio. Now, the title public servant is too seldom honored in our society. Bill Coulter, throughout his long career, exhibited a fairness and objectivity and honesty and a vision and dedication that reflects the finest ideals of public service. And it is my honor and pleasure to present him to the graduating class and to their guests to deliver the commencement address. Bill Coulter.
Class of 1990, I come as a friend. My daughter, who is here, my three sons have sat in their time where you're sitting and have confronted on their day of exuberance a serious commencement speaker. Be kind to me. Mr. President, trustees, graduates, and friends, it is a genuine pleasure for me to come back to Athens today. I appreciate the honor which the university bestows on me this morning in connection with my work over a number of years. And I especially appreciate your allowing me to share in this important day in the lives of the class of 1990, your family and your friends. I've come to Athens many times over nearly 30 years of my involvement in Ohio's higher education system. And I've enjoyed and benefited by each of those visits. In fact, it will be 29 years next month, my having just begun work as the Executive Secretary of the Inter-University Council of Ohio, that I sat on the veranda at the President's home with the Council's Chairman, then President John Baker of Ohio University, and the university's Trustee Chairman of that day, Gordon Bush, to receive my first charge to work in support of the universities in this state. And I began on that day to understand and continue today to appreciate the strong role of Ohio University in the beginnings and all subsequent developments of higher education in this state. It's a remarkable university. I congratulate all of you for the wisdom of your own association with this important university. I believe it to have a long and distinguished past, to be strong indeed today, and to have a future just as bright as this academic community chooses to make it. And I believe as well that this university, as do the larger systems of higher education of which it's a part, has an obligation more clear now than at any time in its history to be deeply involved in and supportive of the success of social and economic and political agendas of our state, of our nation, and of the world. I say this because I believe that Ohio University today sends out a graduating class whose members will take up their work in a world whose governments and political officers and corporate and social leaders are no longer confident that they know and understand the basic boundaries within which social and economic activity and national aspirations must be constrained or can develop. You of the class of 1990 will live and work in a world where the most powerful economic forces and balances of influence among nations are in a continuous state of flux, where the political centers and alliances of power and stability are undergoing radical change at a very brief moment in time, where there rises a wide consensus across the world that advancing populations and technologies indeed have the capacity seriously to damage or even to destroy atmospheric balances of our planet, which are necessary to sustain life as we enjoy it. And a world in which the interconnectedness of our large problems calls for moral and ethical codes of behavior across nations beyond our abilities thus far to develop and to use. Thinking about that world awaiting you recalled to my mind a story told by my pastor some Sundays ago apropos of your circumstances. He told of two men who confronted a bear while on an outing in the forest, and they were frightened. As the bear threatened to move toward the two men, one of them threw down his backpack and began frantically searching through it and came up with his running shoes. And he began putting them on. When he told by the other man that he was foolish if he thought he really could outrun that bear, the first man responded, "I understand that, but I don't really need to outrun the bear. I just need to outrun you." There is a bear. There is a bear out there where you're going. It's that bear called change. And we as persons and as societies don't feel very comfortable at all with change. We're all like that. But I think we're going to need a better defense against that bear than just to outrun each other, though you'll do some of that. A defense that looks after the interests of us all in our times. It occurred to me, too, as I prepared for these remarks today, just how strikingly different are the conditions which you confront as graduates from those I recall as I sat at commencement at the conclusion of my own college experience in 1952. I recall having been attentive as a student to international affairs of my time, centering on the repositioning of the world's leading forces at the conclusion of World War II. That's way back in your memory. It's not all that long ago, really. This powerful nation of ours, representing at that time a stunning 73% of the world's gross national product, took up the mantle of leadership following war as it had come to carry it during that great struggle. I remember the tugging and pulling of events related to European recovery in particular. The Truman Doctrine, setting out a commitment to resist encroachment of Soviet domination beyond its immediate circle of influence. The Marshall Plan for the recovery of a devastated Europe. The formation of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that's NATO, all key to the alliances that would, over the next 40 years, confront and challenge the influence of expanding Russian interests and ideas on several continents. Those political policies and that strong United States economic influence and position would anchor 4 decades of our relationship to the other prominent force on the international scene, and for good or ill, make predictable and stable most aspects of our foreign policy and of world alliances, even as regional wars and the rise of third world nationalism played out on the world stage. Many events, of course, have come and gone in those several decades, but throughout it all has endured the basic standoff between opposing Goliaths. But during those years of political stalemate as well have run fundamental themes of change in the world's economic makeup and in our own relationship as a nation to that new lineup. The rise of competitive strengths in a rebuilt and increasingly united Europe. The rise as well of great competitive strengths in Japan and others among the Southeast Asian nations. And our own country, of course, still strong, but no longer dominant in the order of earlier years, where at the conclusion of World War II, the United States accounted for that 73% of the world's gross national product. By 1960, we stood at 50%. And today, we represent about 20%. Similarly, in manufacturing, our world share has dramatically declined in the years since World War II, and that share continues to fall. That's your world into which you go. The entry of foreign products and interest to our domestic markets is powerful, and our American companies as well are increasingly international necessarily in their growth and search for market strength. Clearly, we can no longer dominate the world economic scene, but must compete against others strong in every way, technologically and in terms of productivity. And as well, we have in a very short period of time now seen major shifts in the confrontation with the Soviet Union. As that nation undertakes fundamental change in its internal and external policies of economic development, political leadership, and its whole set of perceptions and assumptions about its relations with other nations and world events. Its empire is radically changing, its satellites seizing opportunities for independence beyond the pace even of the Soviet reformers' schedule, its leaders struggling to maintain a semblance of control over large-scale change. Ramifications of these major events are worldwide, driving Europe, already on the brink of economic union, to consider in the face of German reunification a stepped-up timetable of political union as well. Our own national policies of foreign relations, of defense spending, and regarding the evident opportunity for advancing domestic agendas through a peace dividend are in a state of flux as well. Our world economic rules and our world political rules have suddenly and on a major scale been altered, and the new rules are not yet clear. Rising opportunities for international interdependence and collaboration in economics and through a waning major threat of catastrophic war could usher in, of course, a remarkable period of worldwide accommodation on a scope not known for many years of human history. The big boundaries and assumptions which have defined basic policies of governments and the opportunities of individual corporations are no longer the clear guides they once were. But neither do they represent constraints on desirable change. What a good time, but what a puzzling time. That's your time. It is clear that our nation, still strong but not now dominant, must play a constructive role politically and in the changing economic markets as a competitor or a partner, but who may not always prevail. And you now go out into that world where more likely you will, in your careers, confront political and business leaders less confident of their traditional wisdom than they once were. That's to the advantage of young participants in the workforce and in political affairs. You can create change in those circumstances, for change is imperative. Connect yourself to those issues of change. Your opportunity to lead and to influence events may come more quickly where change is anticipated and imperative. Your opportunity to lead may come more quickly than you think in your young careers. Following as you do behind the baby boom generation, you as well go out into a demographic time, as you know, when the workplace will need you. What a great break that is for you, when the workforce will need you at each juncture of your maturing careers, further enhancing your opportunity. It's been my pleasure over 30 years to work in support of Ohio's policies to advance higher education, assuming both that individuals might benefit, as you have, but that the larger society might as well benefit from the assurance of a competent citizenry, workforce, and leadership cadre. Surely, your individual preparation here for successful careers and for your pursuit of happy lives has made you a privileged group, prepared to go out now from Ohio University. As a nation, we have, since our founding, of course, set out that success of the individual person as the principal issue of our democracy. But it has been clear as well from the beginning of our national experience that the summation of individual advantage is intended to achieve as well the public good of a successful and prosperous community of people. It has seemed to me, as I have pondered all of this about our national experience, that the individual benefit arising from the privileges of our citizenship, you've just reaped some of those privileges, creates a strong and compelling obligation for each of us to bear our share of the load in carrying out the public agenda and of seeking together the public good for humankind. It is to the issues of that larger public agenda that I've called your attention today. But to the larger university community here at Ohio University, I would note as well that we live in these perilous and opportune times together, not only as individuals, but as institutions as well. And it's the institutional existence of Ohio University that's called to bring all of its resources and promises to bear on the public agendas, bring its abilities to organize knowledge and to advance knowledge, and its capacity for translating knowledge into the diverse means by which successful societies are built and grow. To bring all of its resources to bear on the public agenda. To the class of 1990, good luck and good fortune to you. Those of us who have worked in a time when there were constraints, now remarkably fluid and flowing, look to you for our future success and more perfect satisfaction. Congratulations for your achievement here at Ohio University, and best wishes for happy and constructive lives.
Thank you, Bill. We're honored to have you among us today.